What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm bringing you an updated Mitsurugi deck profile, and you heard me correct, it's just Mitsurugi. I trimmed the deck down to 40 cards, playing pure Mitsurugi. I am going to still experiment with the deck with the Ogdoadic engine, but there's another engine I'm thinking about experimenting with as well. Um, but for right now, all of that is just in my head, remind me later kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just jump straight on into this, and we're going to talk about why I'm playing the ratios on stuff that I'm playing, and you know, my good reasoning behind it. Sorry if you guys hear a lot of stuff in the background. Um, I don't know why everybody and their brother's outside on a fucking Wednesday. But yeah, we got 3 copies of the new level 4 Mitsurugi no Mikoto Aramasa. From here on, I'm just going to refer to them by their singular individual names. And Aramasa, on summon, searches a Mitsurugi monster, which is sick. And then he has the level 4 monster, the level 4 Mitsurugi protection effect, where if another ritual or another reptile would be destroyed, tribute it instead. So on summon or if tributed, search a Mitsurugi monster, and then he can sack himself to protect. Then I'm on 2 copies of Saji. I'm thinking about going to 1 and opening the deck up to more non-engine because I have 15 slots. Spoiler, I have 25 engine, which is a lot in my opinion, but it's worth it. And I'm playing 2 Saji. You guys probably remember Saji from the last time I did a deck profile with this. On normal, special, or tribute, search a Mitsurugi spell, part of a combo line, super sick. Which this deck now has 1-card combos because of Aramasa and the new ritual monster, which we'll cover. Which I'll get to those eventually. And if you guys want to see me do combo tutorials and possibly a test hand video, or if you guys want to come to my stream and want to see me possibly do a test hand stream, Thursday test hands, I'll gladly do that. Next, we have 1 copy of Kusanagi. I still don't see a reason to play more than 1 Kusanagi, especially now with some of the new spell traps that we have. And then we're on the 1 Wosu. Because this thing is a searchable kaiju that also nets you advantage. And then if it is... Oh, wait. Kusanagi, I don't know if you guys... just briefly. Kusanagi on normal special or tribute adds a Mitsurugi card from... adds a Mitsurugi card from graveyard or banished hand. And then Wosu can summon itself from your hand by tributing an opponent's monster and a monster you control, or a reptile monster you control. And then if it itself is tributed, you can discard a card to add it from your graveyard back to your hand. This thing is a menace, but you really only need the 1 of it, and to be honest, you can board it out when you know it's not going to really help you out, but I don't see a reason to board it out. Moving on to the ritual monsters, we've got 3 copies of the new Ame no Habakiri no Mitsurugi. Again, going to start addressing these by their individual names now. This is going to be Habakiri, because now we have 2 Ames. Because this is an Ame, we already have the original Ame. This is going to be Habakiri. The other one, I'll say what I'm calling it now. So Habakiri, while face up on the field, all opponents' monsters lose 800 attack. And then once per duel, you can reveal this in your hand to special summon a Mitsurugi monster from your deck, and then tribute a monster you control. Again, this is a 1-card starter. These are both 1-card starters, so if you want to see these, which is why I'm maxed out on them. And yeah, that's really it. Oh, and then it has the typical floating effect where if it's tributed, you add a Mitsurugi card and then special summon it. And then we have our 2 copies of Murakumo, the original Ame of the deck. But now we have 2, so I'm calling this one Murakumo and the other one Habakiri. Just makes sense. Um, we all know what this thing does. It's an Omni Negate, but your opponent can discard a card to prevent the negation from going through. On special, it wipes your opponent's board, and then floating effect. And then I'm still on the one copy of Futsu, just because Futsu is still really good. A once per chain revive of a reptile from the graveyard is always welcome in this deck, and that is really going to be it for this. Again, it also has the floating effect that all of the other ritual monsters within this deck have. But now we're going to get into the spells and traps, and this is where the deck comes to life, man. They got so many new spells and traps, and unfortunately we're not playing a whole lot of them. Well, we are actually playing a good majority of them. But we're still on our 3 copies of Mitsurugi Ritual. I've seen people going down to 2 of this, which I can understand. Both from a budget standpoint, because I believe this is back up to $30. It was $30 like 2 or 3 weeks ago when I checked, because I do regularly check cards in decks that I want to build. And Ritual is still insane. Being able to either summon one from hand by using 2 materials from hand, field, or deck, or summon one from deck by using materials from hand or field. Can't use materials from a mix of areas, or you cannot use materials from a mix-up of areas. So wherever you decide you're using the materials from, that's where you have to use the materials from. Which kind of sucks, but it's fine, because now we've got our first new card, 3 copies of Mitsurugi Magatama. Magatama is absolutely insane. During the main phase, activate one of these effects. It's a quick play spell, so you can do it during either player's main phase. And it's tribute a reptile monster to target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. Or ritual summon a reptile ritual monster from your hand by using monsters you control. Or from, you summon one from hand by using monsters you control only. So, still a really sick card. A good way to quick effect summon a Murakumo from the hand. Or you can just tribute your Murakumo, pop a Floodgate, or a Floodgatey type card. Murakumo revive itself, wipe your opponent's monsters. Or you could just Magatama to tribute the Murakumo, pop a in response to a continuous spell, tribute Murakumo, pop the continuous spell's activated effect, or pop the continuous spell so it misses the timing, and then Murakumo revive, wipe your opponent's monsters. Really, really sick card. And then the last 3 in the Mitsurugi cards is 3 copies of Prayers. Again, this is another one that I've seen people cutting down to maybe 2 just to fit in more non-engine, but I feel like the amount of non-engine I'm fitting in is fine for pure Mitsurugi. If I was to play engines, I would definitely be cutting Prayers and Ritual down to 2. I'd probably go down to 1 Magatama, because in pure, you're always going to have access to your reptiles and your Mitsurugi monsters and stuff like that, whereas in mixed decks, that's not going to be the case. But Prayers is also a 1-card starter, because it can search your other 1-card starters, and if you have extra stuff, it technically becomes an extender and a starter at the same time. This thing is a really sick 1 to 1.5 card combo that I haven't fully figured out the exact line for, but I know it's just simply grab the new level 4, and if you tributed something, you summon it, and you can do all of this in your draw and standby phase, so it plays around Droll and a couple of other hand traps that are main phase only, like Effect Veiler. And then we're on 1 copy of Sacred Boundary. This thing is actually really sick. I like it. I tried playing it at 2. Didn't like it at 2. Ignore the second copy, just in frame like that. But I went down to 1 because it's not really that good to open with. And my thought process was, oh, this thing gives me infinite grind game because I can put itself back. And then I reread the card and I was like, oh no, it can't put itself back. Let's go back down on it. So, what does it do? Well, your opponent can't target your Mitsurugi ritual monsters with extra deck monster effects. Sick. Or monsters summoned from the extra deck. Let me correct myself. So, if your opponent Pendulum summons a monster from the extra deck, they can't use it to target any of your Mitsurugi ritual monsters. And then you can shuffle back 4 Mitsurugi cards from your graveyard back into your deck, and then if your opponent controls a monster, you can make them tribute a monster of their choice. Then we have 1 copy of Mitsurugi Mirror. It's just another ritual spell, but this can revive a ritual monster from the graveyard, or it can ritual summon a monster from the graveyard, which is sick. So if you're in a grind game and you're running out of stuff, you can just grab something back from the graveyard. And then if any of your ritual monsters are tributed while it's in the graveyard, you can shuffle it back into your deck, so you always have access to a ritual spell even if you don't have Sacred Boundary. And then the 1 copy of Great Purification is the only trap worth playing out of the 2 traps that they have. Maybe if we get a 3rd wave of support, which I could see it because we need a second Futsu to make me have to start calling Futsu by something else. But Great Purification, sick as hell card. Omni Negate, and then you can banish it to revive a reptile from the graveyard. So that is going to be it for the Mitsurugis. Now we're going to get into our non-hand trap, not hand trap, non-engine, which is 3 cards. It is our 1 copy of Nightsword Serpent still, because this card does allow some new play since we don't have a lot of things that lock us into reptile monsters anymore. This card opens up a line with IP. This opens up the ability to make SP on turn 1, so we can end on like 2 rituals plus SP. This thing is insane. You can still use it to summon King of the Feral Imps, but there's not really a whole lot we're wanting to search off of the King of the Feral Imps anymore, so he's not as good. And then I'm playing the 1 Called By and the 1 Cross Out, just because this deck needs certain cards to resolve, so these 2 cards are here to help with that. And the hand traps I am playing, because that's where we're going next, are 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Ghost Ogre, because I feel like Ghost Ogre is really good this format, 3 copies of Nibiru the Fat Rock, and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just because these are the hand traps that do kind of hurt us the most. Specifically Ghost Ogre on the Sacred Boundary, Nib on our end board, but it actually isn't that bad. And again, I could explain that in a combo tutorial style video. And Ash, just because Ash is an oppressive card, you can definitely rearrange these to maybe play like 2 Nib, 2 Ogre, and another 2 of maybe like Droll or Valor, because Droll especially is really, really painful in the current format. It's one of those really polarizing hand traps, and to be honest, I would like to see them get rid of Droll. The hot take, I think Droll is kind of an unhealthy card, because when it's good, it's really, really, really good, and almost too good to a degree. But when it's not good, it's because they had to amp up the power level of the current format. So that's my take, and those are the hand traps I am playing, because I still don't own a playset of Fualas. However, while I was on vacation, I did open 1 copy of it in a random little booster while I was away. And start moving on to the extra deck. We have 2 copies of King of the Feral Imps. I haven't really gotten around to fully rearranging or reworking the extra deck, just because I have ideas and I have places I want to go. So the extra deck isn't going to be touched too much. I finally found a replacement card for that pesky little Nightmare Phoenix that I was playing that just kind of did nothing. It's not this Exciton Knight. Exciton Knight replaced a couple of other cards. But Exciton Knight plus this next card I'm about to show replaced a couple of copies of or a couple of Link monsters in here. And we have a copy of the Surrender Button, aka Typhon, just because Typhon could, actually come up in a grind game. That's the only reason why I'm playing him. Exciton Knight is another one that comes up in a grind game. I would like to find another rank 4, possibly another rank 4 that actually does something that isn't what Exciton Knight does. Like, I need another quick effect rank 4 because the only other one that was better than Exciton Knight is fucking banned. But, it is what it is. Then we're on 2 copies of Lizard Dose because this helps you push for game. It draws you a card. It's flex. And then we're still on our 3 Ragnarika Link monsters. These you don't really summon. Another thing I will say is if you don't want to, you could also fit in other consistency cards like Pot of Prosperity and the likes. You could also play a Dogmatica engine to be able to send like Herald of the Arclight to the graveyard, to be able to search things. There's a lot of things. And then we're also playing 1 copy of Shock Trooper, and Shock Trooper I'm actually going to go over because he's interesting. I read the hidden effect on this card. And obviously he has a quick effect to pitch a reptile from your hand. It discards, it doesn't tribute, unfortunate. But he can pitch a reptile monster from your hand to put A counters on, or to put A counters on opponent's monsters up to the level of the monster you discard. But then if he's destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to revive reptile or non-link reptile monsters from your graveyard up to the number of opponent's monsters with A counters. Like, what? Why does a Link 2 have that much power? Have that much floating power? Then I'm also on the 2 copies of Dynamondo still, the 1 copy of Reptilian Echidna. You can cut the Echidna out. This is one of the cards that I do want to kind of get rid of because we don't have any 0 attacks that we're wanting to search anymore. And then we're playing the 1 copy of IP and 1 copy of SP. Just because we have lines that open us up to be able to make this specifically with Night Sword Serpent. And I'll gladly take that all day, every day, 24/7, 365. That is the extra deck, my friends. Now we're moving on to the side deck, which again could use a little bit of reworking, but the main deck is the main focus here. And the side deck isn't awful. It's still very similar to what it was in the last profile. So we're going to just kind of fire through this as well. 3 copies of Valor, 3 copies of Lancia. You could definitely be main decking the Lancia instead of Ogre or instead of Nib. Or you could main deck 2 Lancia, 2 Ogre, 2 Nib by having your 3rd copies of Lancia, Nib, and Ogre here in the side deck, and then you can board out of whatever 2 of that you don't need for the other 2 1-ofs. Or the other 2 hand trap, yeah. 3 copies of Droll, because like I said, this card does hurt us, and it's just good right now, because a lot of decks are doing a lot of searching. Fiendsmith searches Fiendsmith doesn't search a whole lot, but Fiendsmith Raziel searches quite a bit. Malice kind of searches a bit. The whole 9 yards. Then we're on 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust, and my thrust targets are... Oh, excuse me. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? 1 copy of Ultimate Slayer, 1 copy of Talents, 1 copy of Feather Duster, and 1 copy of Barrier. Barrier is in here both as a cross-out target, but also as a thrust target for Raziel matchups. And I know I could be coping on the Barrier, and you could take this out. You can definitely play like a Black Goat Laughs. I do have a copy of Black Goat Laughs, but the card I would replace with Black Goat Laughs before Barrier is Slayer. I'm so replacing Slayer before anything else because Slayer's in here as a way to out the links and XZs that people are playing, but if you come across something that isn't a link or an XZ's deck, you just don't bring it in. You just play Talents at that point, or you bring in Feather Duster for stun. Barrier also works for the Xyz decks, but it also covers the areas that we don't have coverage with Ultimate Slayer for. So that's why I want to keep the Barrier in here, specifically for Pendulum and Synchros. This covers for those. It also covers for Ritual, unfortunately, but that's why we're playing the Crossouts. And that is going to be it for the deck profile. Again, in the comments, let me know if you guys want to see these one-card combo round or combo lines that I have been cooking up with the Aramasa and the new Habakiri. And on that note, I am going to end this video here because I have to get ready for work. Because I'm recording this before I have to go to work on a Wednesday. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.